It's Tuesday, January 9th, 2018. This is MMA Junkie Radio's pre-show, the show before the show. I am Ghost. To my left, he's back. See his face?
It's me.
He's back. He is Dan Tom, MMA Junkie Radio's fight analyst. Back in New York, world's greatest producer, Danny Okers. And George.
Yeah.
Should be getting in here soon.
He can't.
It's super slippery out there today. So
Why?
Because it's been raining a lot.
Oh, I see.
So I told him to walk really slow. You thought it was what?
I thought it was cold. I thought you were saying like, oh, it's real slippery out.
Oh. You think it could snow, Dan?
Dude, it
like
could.
Once a year.
Yeah, it does, and it's got that weird, like, heavy cloud, like, that's swallowing all the building tops right now. So yeah, maybe it will. Felt like I was driving into Seattle.
It's gonna be 55 here on Friday. I'm so excited. I might wear shorts.
For 55?
Dude, it has been like in the single digits for like 2 weeks. Like with highs of like 11 or 15 or something. 55 is going to feel like 85 to me. I might wear shorts.
couldn't do that, man. I like the cold, but I don't like it that much.
I like snow, but yeah, this year's really tested that for me. I don't know how much I'm going to like snow after this year.
Is it time, Danny? Rutherford? No more Rutherford?
I don't know about that. I don't really have another place to go. Unless I'm crashing on Goze's couch.
Yeah.
Me and Goze.
Nah.
I was going to volunteer for it, too.
Well, Dan will come in, too. It'll be like a real sitcom. It'll be like,
Oh, yeah.
Dan will move in out of solidarity, so it'll be the entire junkie show under one roof. And we'll film it, so it'll be like After Dark coming up in a minute. By the way,
Ghost is loving this idea, by the way.
MMA After Dark.
I'm trying to put an application in with Sherdog right now.
Sorry, what was the song?
Slippery? Yeah.
Oh boy.
Too much. Too much.
Sounds like George is here now.
Yes, he is. It's good to be back, though. I'm very excited.
Coming up 30.
So hopefully the listeners come strong, and we have some strong guests today. We have a good show.
We do have some good guests, but we're definitely gonna have time for calls. I would like some calls. That'd be nice.
That would be nice too. Here's some familiar faces.
Hey, check this out. You guys want some breaking news for the pre-show?
Yeah.
Big John McCarthy will join Bellator as the color commentator.
Really?
Ooh.
Yeah.
Is he a color commentator?
Yeah.
All right, guys, coming up. Stand by.
Consistently?
I don't know, just for this event.
Wow.
Pretty cool though.
This is your captain speaking. We are making our descent into Las Vegas McCarran Airport. On behalf of our crew, we'd like to thank you for flying MMA Junkie Airlines. Now please fasten your seatbelts and put your tray tables in your upright position because the descent is gonna be a little bit bumpy.
Alright, Junkie Nation, it's time to roll, baby, on MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goze. This is what we doing while we do it, baby. All night long, we rollin'! Yeah!
The MMA Junkie Radio revolution is upon us.
Can you dig it?
There's no escape. No escape. Through the vast frontier of cyberspace and through a sea of stars in outer space.
One small step for man, one giant leap for mankind.
We've solidified our combat communications stranglehold.
We are controlling transmission.
With the use of MMA Junkie Radio and SiriusXM satellite radio technology. MMA Junkie Radio. Commence transmission. Live from MMA Junkie Radio HQ in the fight capital of the world, Las Vegas, Nevada. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goze.
From the fight capital of the world inside the beautiful Mandalay Bay Racing Sportsbook, you are listening to the MMA Junkie Radio Show, the only show that matters. I'm your host, Gorgeous George. With me, as always, is the Devious and Dastardly Goes. Ari's co-host. Latest edition, 6 months into it. Dan Tom, the fight analyst. Back east, handling all the producing duties. Danny Okers. What's up, guys?
What up?
What's up?
How's everybody doing?
Good to have Dan Tom back.
Dude, it's good to be back. Thank you.
So, no Disneyland, huh? No vacation?
No, that got rained on.
Wow. You had the flu?
Something like that. Yeah. I whatever was going around was was trying to be good to the people around me and take care of them. But
Your lady pissed off?
I might have got caught a casualty there. Yeah. So it didn't make for an easy week. We'll just say that.
Yeah.
But yeah, the vacation that was out. That was sure enough was out the window and whatnot. So
I hadn't gone to Disneyland in years, and I went last year, and I'd go again, to tell you the truth, if I had the chance.
Oh, you went too?
I did.
You went too?
Yeah.
Oh, man, it's a small world after all, huh?
I went because it was Mike Johnson's wedding 1 year ago around this time. He's on that cruise. Look at Danny. 2 minutes late with that. And I remember when he posted recently that he was going on a cruise because it was his 1 year anniversary. I remember we stayed after the wedding and went a couple days to Disneyland. And now's about a good time to go. But when we went, we got rained on. Not heavily, and I think right now they're experiencing heavy rains. And I don't know what you would have got. But we had a pretty good time, believe it or not. Well, a lot had to do with that friend she had.
Fast pass guy.
Oh, my God.
You were beyond
Oh,
fast
wow.
pass,
Without
right?
that guy, it's especially now with my leg, I couldn't do it. I'd have to really pull the wheelchair card. And I don't want to pull it if I don't need it.
okay.
But if she were to say, or anyone were to say, let's go, I have to go, then I'd have to do the wheelchair just to conserve energy. And two, I can't stand for a long time without it just, being a hassle. But when it's like security at the airport, I can just power through that. I don't really need it for that. Unless it's to the benefit of the team. But well, I'm glad you're healthy. Hopefully you can get out there some other time.
Oh yeah, it's all good, man. I'm excited to be back. It's a new year.
Congratulations to the Alabama Crimson Tide, who
Oh, yeah.
defeated the Georgia Bulldogs last night. They are the 2017-18 national champions.
Crazy game.
And this is an incredible run that they're on. Nick Saban, their head coach, has now won 6 national titles, 5 with Alabama, 1 with LSU, probably making him now, I think he's tied with the legendary Bear Bryant for 6 titles by a head coach. But in this era and the short amount of time he did it in, it's just been a legendary run. And I believe he'll go down in history so far. I mean, someone will break him, but as the best college coach ever. And an incredible finish. The Georgia Bulldogs had kicked the field goal in overtime. Well, first of all, they should have lost in regulation because Alabama had a good drive, and then they just kind of fell down and put themselves in position for the kicker to come out and kick a short field goal. Wasn't that long of a field goal. It wasn't a chip shot, but he should have made it. And he goes out there and whiffs it left. So they go into OT, and Georgia gets on the board first, and then they sack the Alabama quarterback where, I think they are at 2nd and 15 or 3rd and 15. No, it had to be more. He lost about 15. So it's like 2nd and 25, 3rd and 25. He just goes back, sees the receiver, throws a bomb, boom, game over. That was it.
No safety help, nothing.
Nothing, man. He
burned
looked
it.
off the safety.
Wow.
All 4 guys were running streaks.
It was beautiful
And
the way he
it
did
was, and that was the freshman, the same guy who made the mistake of taking that sack, because you just don't do that. But he's really powerful and can run and has strong legs, and I think he just thought he could weasel his way out of it, but instead he took that sack. So I'm actually in the middle of a tweet. I'll confess, going, freshman quarterbacks are going to make mistakes, something like that.
Right.
Next thing you know, he's throwing the bomb. I didn't even have a chance to put it up. I just, all right, congrats to Alabama. And that was it.
Would you have deleted it?
The only dog in my fight, I'd have to delete it because it never went out.
No, would you have deleted it? Say you hit send, and by then the ball's in the air.
I think so, yeah. What's the point, right? So, the only thing that bugged me was with live betting, there was a lot of ways to cover yourself. And I made $19 because Alabama won. And that was because when they were coming back, I took them 25 to win 69. It was some oddball number. But when Alabama was about to score in regulation, I looked and it was 25 to make 312 on Georgia. Because I think they thought they're just going to kick the field goal and the game's going to be over. and he kicked it, and it went left. And so when Georgia actually had that opportunity, I had a parlay at stake and that live bet at stake, and it lost. That would have made me maybe $450 or so.
Oh.
And I only had the 19 to show for it because I had the other side. Live betting is so much fun. It really is.
Yeah.
And the game was great.
Doesn't it distract you from the game, though?
No, because at the end there's so many timeouts and they're reviewing so many plays that you have the window open and it's just changing in front of you. It's like the stock market. And then you just go, boom, hit it, confirm, and you're in.
That's one of my bucket list things, by the way.
To ring the bell?
No, what? Well, no, that's too much. The guys on the bottom doing this, and that. I want to just watch them.
At the New York Stock Exchange?
Yeah.
Why not ring the bell?
I just don't see why they would ever have me.
Okay.
You know what would be great for live betting, George, is you saying that as far as fights go, whenever you have one of those guys who, maybe not known for this, but what was that Ryan James and Andrew Sanchez fight that happened where you have one guy who kind of gets beat up normally, but he can come back into fights.
Mm-hmm.
Those guys are great to live bet. Those guys who kind of lose the first round but are traditionally come back, those slow burn guys, like those Barbarinas and whatnot, because you're probably already getting them for dog or some kind of reasonable money. And then at the end of those first rounds, you'll get
you know which
crazy
one I would have
numbers.
done it on? This is a little bit of a homer.
Okay.
But I saw the same thing happen where I just saw someone give it their all, blow their load.
Yeah.
It was in the Felder fight when Charles
Oh,
Oliveira,
yeah.
had him in all those darces, and he kind of got out of that. You could tell the other guy was like, whoa, that was my best game. And he's not a decorated grappler, Felder. He's just learned how to defend. And now all of a sudden your arms are tired. He gave it his best. I could tell Felder was going to, take that fight. That would have been a good one. But I felt the same thing, man.
Yeah.
There's been plenty of times where I wish I had the live betting component in MMA.
Me too.
Because you can tell who may have just, hit some sort of a wall.
Yeah.
Sometimes you could tell just on the stare down that they have before. Just looks in certain guys' eyes.
Yeah.
Things are off.
But
Like,
that won't
these
affect
guys
the live
good enough.
betting.
Yeah.
Yeah, usually have to let a round go by. But are they sharp enough that they're also seeing the same thing? And are they going to give you the odds that we think they're going to give us? Who knows? I'm sure there's great stories out there. I hear a lot of people always tweeting about live betting. But, yeah, I mean, those are foreigners that have these houses that offer everything to them.
Right.
Today's show, we have Michael Johnson and George Masvidal. So Masvidal was going to be on yesterday's show. We moved him to today, and Michael Johnson's been booked. Johnson fights Sunday, by the way, in St. Louis, where he's from. He fights out of, I guess it's Boca Raton or one of those cities in the East Coast. Delray Beach. I don't know. He's part of what used to be the Black Zillions team that moved over to a team called Combat Club under Henry Hooft. So he's going back home to St. Louis to fight Darren Elkins. It's a tough fight because Elkins is very committed to wrestling and grappling. And so Johnson is going to have to be light on his feet and pinpoint with his striking. And then if he gets taken down, then I don't know that he's going to have anything to offer him from his back. So therefore, the race is going to be to get back up and strike again. And, and to do that, you need a lot of cardio. And we'll see. Now, that said, if Elkins can't get him down, he's not going to outstrike Johnson. So classic grappler versus striker. But his main beef a few days ago was why isn't he on the main card? Now, this main card, I think, might be an exception. It's 4 fights versus 6. Usually it's 6 on a UFC Fight Night card. And if it had been 6, then I think it was automatic. But I think he's past it. We may glance over that topic. He made his point, and it actually blew up. Our traffic reports showed it to be one of the most popular stories a few days ago, so a lot of people had an opinion on it. But, either way, there's 8 fights on Fox Sports 1, and it's just divided by prelims and main card. I don't know that there's really anything different. They're not switching from one channel to the other. Once they make the switch from 5 fights on the UFC Fight Pass to Fox Sports 1 on Sunday, then you get 8 fights on Fox Sports 1. It's just the way they're classified, it's prelims and main card. But if you really think about it, once they're on Fox Sports 1, it's all main card. Masvidal has called out Bisping in London, Magny on any April card. But he's very content to also just work hard on his craft, get better, and if either matchup doesn't help, I think he's willing to wait till late spring, early summer, and just get back in there because he's just in a different spot now. He's coming off 2 losses, and you really can't afford a third. You just got to become a player again, you know. So I think he's got to shore up a few things. He lost to a great grappler, and he lost to a great striker. So what do? You know what I mean? Oh, big news as I'm walking in, Goes is reading off. So what is it? Big John McCarthy joins the Bellator broadcast team. Will he be just for a certain card? Is he a permanent fixture? Is he part of a rotation? What have you been able to figure out here?
Right now, the announcement seems like it's for this 192 card. But I would imagine going
But what's
forward,
it say there? Does it clarify?
Not really. That's the thing.
Okay.
I mean, it's at times it makes it sound like he'll just be the guy going forward. But they also re-signed Chael, so Chael will be there. But really, when you think about that team, like you could have either Mauro Ranallo or Mike Goldberg with Chael and with Big John. Pretty good team, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you know, you'll have someone who actually explains the rules, you know, with a lot of clarity there. And, you know, when you watch these NFL and NBA games, that happens so much that they have to go upstairs to an expert who can kind of break things down. So it'll be nice to have that type of guy handy. It'll be nice to have someone who's technical with Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu because Big John's a black belt. And just, you know, ring, what do they call it, being a ring general, ring gentlemanship.
Yeah.
I think that'll be important because he's observed so many things that happens. I think he'll be able to see, you know, what's happening. That said, we lose a great ref.
Well, he was already not doing
a lot of
international
others,
cards.
Correct.
So he had already cut back on that.
Right.
So now you're stuck with the cards here. I mean,
how will that affect UFC fight cards? Can he break away from that and be a broadcaster in LA and a referee in Nevada?
I mean, if you're the commission, what are some of the things you're looking at, right? Like, are you looking at maybe because he's on the other side now, these relationships with fighters are a little different. So, yeah, maybe that could skew them from wanting to use him.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a retirement, God bless him. It's not like he didn't put in his time. Shit, he was at UFC 2. That was 1994. And we're in 2018, so you're looking at 24 solid years. And if he just wants to move on to that, into that role, then I get it. Now, he wanted to stop traveling as much, but Bellator has become worldwide. Do you see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So now is he willing to embrace the travel because maybe there's a bigger payday out there, or you know, I would imagine that the role of a color commentator is more work than the role of a referee. No disrespect to referees, I'm not trying to say that, but a referee can kind of jump on a plane on a Thursday and get to somewhere in the world and be calling fights on a Saturday, right?
Yeah.
A color commentator, I think, usually gets there a little bit early and goes through his rounds of interviews and
prep.
And then you got a long 8 hours of work. Whereas the referee gets the first fight, the fourth fight, the eighth fight, the 12th fight, you know, and sometimes they'll go into the prep points and assist there, but you know, I don't know. I mean, good for him. He's a grown man who has made pretty great decisions throughout his career. So I imagine he looked at all the pros and cons and he's good to go.
They stress that he's going to be part of this card, but it does seem like going forward he will be part of all the cards. As for Chael, it says, in addition, Chael Sonnen has signed an extension to remain a part of select Bellator broadcasts. So maybe some cards you get 3 guys, some cards you get 2.
Well, if you're going to have a dedicated third man, I mean, what better guy than, you know, John McCarthy? You know, of course, old school Stephen Quadros always made a great third man, but you always want a guy like that who's educated, knowledgeable, but not, you know, overpowering in the wrong ways. Obviously, McCarthy's got a powerful voice, powerful figure, and knows when to step in. But you know, as far as personality, he's not a guy who's going to be, you know, trying to hog mic time or anything like that. So I think he's a solid fixture you could put in there. As far as the balance, I figured maybe Trig would be a good person to ask on that, right? I mean, what other? I know Trig is way more newer in his reffing journey than many of the refs, but as far as balancing and delineating,
he
commentating,
just commentated.
Yeah, exactly.
If I'm not mistaken, he was at Ryzen, right?
Yeah.
So he did that. He was able to break away.
What the rules are from that?
From his refereeing duties. And I'm sure he looked into that because I think he really values the time he's put in as a referee and wants to continue.
Yeah.
You know, another thing here about Bellator is Bellator, then again, isn't every weekend. So it could be that's the nice break of not having to travel every weekend. Whereas Big John, I think, was hitting the road every weekend. Even when he wasn't doing, just because you're not on a flight to Israel or London, 4 hours to L.A., you're just, come Friday, you're like, fuck, here we go again, traffic, blah, blah, blah. But, yeah, good for him. I'm really, really happy for him. I think he will do good in that role. And, as always, I've always preferred the 3-person booth rather than the 2-person. I don't mind that extra opinion. I think there's plenty of experts that add something in our sport, and hopefully it'll always be Goldberg and Ronaldo with McCarthy with another person. Just
Yeah.
so either Goldberg or Ronaldo, I should say, McCarthy, and then whoever that third man in the booth is, where apparently it'll be Chael sometimes, and then if it's not Chael, then someone else. Big news on the Las Vegas front. Max Holloway will defend his world title against Frankie Edgar at UFC 222. That was scheduled for UFC 219 this past December 2nd, I believe, in Detroit. Edgar had some problems with ribs, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, and so he pulled out of the fight. In steps Jose Aldo. Holloway wins. We all know that song. But we knew that rebooking would take place at some point. It's UFC 222 on March 3rd here in Las Vegas at the T-Mobile Arena. Your thoughts on the fight again?
I like it, and I love Frankie Edgar, but again, Max Holloway's been such a beast that I feel like Frankie never gets a break, no matter who he faces. Tough fight, man. But if anybody can maybe present a different type of attack that Max may have some troubles with, it could be Frankie Edgar.
Gun to the head. Who would you take if the fight was starting
right now? Max Holloway. I got it.
Gun to the head. Who would you take if the fight was starting right now?
Max Holloway. But I will say I don't think people are giving Frankie enough credit. I'm excited, obviously, for the match. I'm excited to have a fight that I personally, I think I'm going to make it a point to attend this one, guys. I'm excited. But that being said, I think we have to remember that we should be excited for this match. But it's a very difficult match for Max Holloway. This is rewind 2 years. This was Conor McGregor, where Conor McGregor was at. You still have this one guy before you can move on, McGregor. Remember we were saying that this guy Frankie Edgar, the stylistic matchup, the guy with the clout, the name, for many narrative purposes, it was a big part. Many felt that McGregor probably needed to have. Obviously, he didn't need it. He went on, and we all know his career since then. But now, fast forward, Max Holloway's in that spot now, and I think this would be huge for him, especially if he's talking about he's clearly getting bigger, not just talking about it. I don't know how much longer we'll have him at 145. So I'm really, really glad that this match is going to get to happen. And if you're a Frankie Edgar fan, yes, he's gotten a bunch of title shots, but I do believe he deserves this one, and he really is the best challenge in the whole division for Max Holloway. He's got the cardio, the transition game, the wrestling, the adjustments. These are things that Frankie has in spades that Max will have to deal with. So I'm excited.
Let me tell you something. That gun to the head would be a very difficult decision. Usually they are when we're talking about the great fights.
Oh yeah.
But I would say that I'm not calling you guys crazy for taking Holloway. It's just that it seems like Edgar's had something with this type of a fighter, with the exception of Aldo. He just couldn't get Aldo to the ground in that second fight they had. He just couldn't do it. And usually Edgar at some point does. And I remember when I saw what he did to Swanson, I just couldn't believe how great his ground and pound had become, and he can attack you with submissions, the cardio for days, he can box with you. And that's my concern is how if Holloway can stop that, then yes, I think Holloway has the tools to outstrike him, even though I think Frankie's a phenomenal boxer.
Right.
But if he can't, wow. I mean, Edgar, you saw what he did to Yair. You saw what he did to Swanson. Both guys that have reach and length on him. That would be the scary part. I will go back and forth on this right now. Right now, I'll give my answer is I think Edgar would be my gun to the head. And I love me some Max Holloway.
Wow.
But because of how Max has evolved in the sport, I believe, and those great coaches he has, I believe there's already some sort of a game plan for how they can stop that. And, he could very well posterize Frankie Edgar. I just have to see it to believe it.
At some point, we're all going to go, man, did Frankie get old overnight? That's going to happen.
Could.
It could be this time. I don't know. There's a lot of things on. I know what you're saying, and I feel the same way as Dan is in the sense that there are a lot of ways for Frankie Edgar to win this fight. But things aren't really on his side, right? Title fights. Max Holloway's just been on a roll. He's been unstoppable. He's the younger guy. There's just so much. I'm going to miss you.
How about the one thing I want to see before Frankie gets old? At 35, one time. How exciting would it be to see him versus Dillashaw, Cruz, Garbrandt, whoever else?
Man, that was my
I
bold
hope he
prediction
doesn't-
for last year. I was hoping to see like a Cruz and Edgar. You know, if Cruz
man.
if Cruz were to have retained against Garbrandt, that door would have been open I think for that. But
I think that's the one bonus if Edgar were to lose to Holloway is I think he'd finally try 35.
yeah.
But every time we've asked him this question, and it's been like once every 18 months, he always says, I'm focused on what I have going on at 45 because he's always been right there at the top.
Mm-hmm.
But I think if he loses here, that's it. I just don't believe he's a 45 contender unless he just keeps mopping those guys up again. But I think he might try 35. And, of course, if he wins, the history, the elite company he would join, GSP, Conor McGregor, BJ Penn, Randy Couture, right?
Yeah.
Multiple division
Yep. Yeah.
world champions in
well
the UFC.
earned.
So, and he would want to continue to defend there. And then all of a sudden, Aldo's a player. You know what I mean? Because he'd go, wait a minute, I beat that guy twice. He's the current champ. Somehow I need to get in there. If it's a classic, Holloway may want the rematch, and then everybody else that's going to be charging up the ladders, the Ortegas of the world, you know, the new guys, the new breeds. Fun division. So, yeah, it's booked for UFC 222. What else do they got going on in UFC 222? Did they throw out other matchups yet?
I don't
In the
think
past,
so.
I think
Let me look at it.
I think some have come through.
I'm on the rumors
222.
thing.
I keep getting drawn away from the current fight with Ngannou Stipe. That's the one that's like feels like it's taking up a whole slot in my head to itself right now.
CB Dalloway versus Hector Lombard. Stefan Struve versus Andrei Arlovsky. Kat Zingano versus Ketlin Vera.
Oh,
Sean
that's a fight.
O'Malley versus Andre Sukumthot. And Mackenzie Dern versus Ashley Yoder. So
Ooh.
that card's coming along nicely, but I would say we need some more pop. Right?
Yeah,
I have
definitely.
no problem with any of the matchups. But
Name
that,
value, you mean.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
name,
need some name
value
carry.
pop.
The scary thing is, don't want to jinx it, but what if something happens in the main event? Now what are you left in? And you have to remember what has been happening to Las Vegas lately.
Oh, I know.
Been getting the shaft. So yeah, definitely.
Think
the
about when
second fight's
someone
gonna-
asked you, "Hey, what's on the Detroit card?" And at one point you could tell them, "Well, you got Max Holloway versus Edgar. All right, my title fight. You got Ngannou versus Overeem. Oh, some big dudes. Someone's getting knocked out. Pettis and Cejudo. The winner could get a shot at Mighty Mouse. Oof, contender fight.
Mm-hmm.
You got to the fourth fight, and you could still tell them Gaethje and Alvarez. You're like, oh, my God. And remember the fifth fight at one point was Felder and Iaquinta? That's what I want to see
Yeah.
for UFC 222. And so far, I got my title fight, and I suppose Arlovsky and Struve are big guys, and someone is probably going to go to sleep there, but it's not at that level of Ngannou and Overeem where the
Right.
winner got a title shot. Lombard and Dalloway, they've put in their work. I'm not slamming anybody here, but I'm not seeing my Gaethje and
Johnson.
Gaethje and Alvarez.
Oh.
I'm not seeing my Cejudo and Pettis. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like more is coming. I mean,
Oh, yeah,
it's not like the
yeah.
UFC said we're done. I realize more is coming, but that's what I'm expecting. Those types of fight bookings to be on the horizon, so that this Vegas card can be out of this world. But I think that's an outstanding matchup, and I'd love to see some more high quality featherweights as well.
Are you going to be excited for Mackenzie Dern and Ashley Yoder?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm elated, but sure. I mean, she's
I
a
thought that, I
Brazilian
think they,
jiu-jitsu
they
pedigree
gave
like
a
her
good-
versus a SoCaler, like okay, I see what they're doing. Yeah, but I mean, I'm Fight Pass or is this on Fight Pass or maybe Fox Sports 1?
I don't know. They're pretty high on Mackenzie, so I don't know. I don't know that she'll go that far down.
Yeah.
Definitely
yeah.
not Fight Pass.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you there.
Well, who's on Fight Pass? Because
Dude, I wouldn't be shocked if she was
the only
first fight
main
of the night.
card that I see is Max Holloway and Edgar right now. Do you see anything else in the main? Oh, I guess Struve and Arlovsky. They'll always give us some heavyweights.
Yeah.
But I see 3 fights on the main card, and then these either have to be on Fight Pass or Fox Sports 1.
Yeah, I figure I'm gonna look for the big names because whether it's funny, it's like it's either you're in a weird part of the world where they're forced to kind of draw regional guys for those Fight Pass bookings, or a place like Vegas where it's an ultra hub where you'll see that they can get away with maybe adding guys a little later, like that Trevin Giles versus Bob Bokniak or whatever that fight was, I forget, or they added like 2 of them. Like it felt like a week and a half before the card. I think it was like 214 or 213 in the summer here. Remember that, guys? They added, and they'll add kind of to the Vegas cards a little later, I noticed. So which kind of brings me back to George's point, which is I'm not too worried about the Fight Pass. I think those will be late additions. I really want to see who they're going to bring to that main card, though, because not just because I think because we're Vegas homers. Obviously, we're biased. This one's going to be in our backyard, but this is the big question of 2018, right? How are they going to bounce back? We know we had we had the Maymac, we had all these kind of caveats for what our superstars were doing in the the last 6 months to a calendar year, but now 2018 I think is a big thing for the company to see. Okay, what direction are they going? Are we going to just get top heavy cards, or are they going to be a little better about what George said, maybe spread it out a little more, especially for these cards, knowing that, okay, well, this is a pay-per-view, this is a Vegas card, we got to come strong.
Yeah, I liked how Ngannou won and said, all right, cool, January, I'm there. I mean, those are 2 months apart. Wait,
yeah.
Not even 2 months apart, dude. 6 weeks apart.
Yeah.
He fought over him on December 2nd, and he's fighting Stipe, January 20th, whatever the day is? That's 6 weeks. And then Holloway just won on the same card, December 2nd. And here he is fighting on March 3rd. So that's 90 days, and he's staying busy. Love it. Love both of those guys.
Love that, yeah.
I hope more people take that kind of a pace. We do have to take a commercial. Michael Johnson will be our first guest, so we got to line things up here. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on SiriusXM Rush 93. When we come back, we're looking to talk to Michael the Menace Johnson, UFC featherweight. That's right. He's dropping in for the first time to featherweight to fight Darren Elkins at UFC Fight Night 124. So stay close, and we'll be right back.
Boom. On, guys. On the stream.
All right, so we're on break with SiriusXM, but want to give some shout outs here on Facebook. Erica, Miss Silk, hi ninjas, she says. She's from Slovakia.
I like Erica. She's awesome.
We know our geometry better than your high school math teacher.
Octagons, rings, and square circles on SiriusXM Rush 93 and the SiriusXM app.
Octagons, rings, square circles. We cover every shape of the fight game. Right here on SiriusXM Rush 93 and the SiriusXM app.
Shout out to Scarlett Garcia. She says Holloway is too big for Edgar. Why not RDA? But didn't we say the same thing about Yair Rodriguez and Cub Swanson? And Edgar managed to take them off their feet, and then the height didn't matter. Jason Ford agrees with Goes and Dan Tom. He's bidding me adieu because I took Frankie Edgar and my gun to the head. I might switch, man. You never know. You guys know how much I like Max Holloway, but there's just something about that match. We have to study that a little bit more. Lucas McIver says good morning, and I believe it's really early in the morning for him, so good morning to you, sir. Murad Lalui says, Masvidal, tell your boy Covington to wait. Why would he do that? Covington's 8-1 in the UFC. He's got the attention of the world champion. That's a great record, 8-1. I think it's a better record than most people that challenged for the title. And it's heat between challenger and champion. So I think it's perfect for a tough coaching gig followed by a world title fight. RDA is only 3-0. He's beat some great fighters, including one former champion in Robbie Lawler. But how was that any different from Colby Covington and what he did to Damian Maia? I mean, that was pretty impressive as well. I'm not saying he has to get it. I'm just saying don't dismiss him because he's right there. Matthew Garcia, he loves the nighttime background. That was Goza's idea, the Vegas background. And that's what you're seeing here.
You guys are back in a minute, and Michael Johnson is there and ready to go.
Cool. All right. Jason Ford is not a fan of McCarthy moving to Bellator's commentary team. Tony Clark says MJ versus Elkins is going to be a war. Yep, it's going to be a great fight. Danny Alkers giving Showtime a shout out. And let's see here. Chino Lagos says, wow, sup from New Orleans, Louisiana, a.k.a. the 504.
Why'd he come in like the Penguin?
I don't know. So we got the 504 in the house, the 702, the 714. Danny, what's your area code?
Well, my cell phone's 609. I don't know what my actual area code is.
609, you just said it.
Well, yeah, but that's down in Jersey Shore, South Jersey.
Okay. John Rico says, glad to see Dan back in studio.
Hey, thanks, Johnny.
All right, so stay tight. We're coming back with Michael Johnson.
Let's do it.
Stand by.
Wow, I feel good. I knew that I wouldn't.
Charm, compassion, common sense. These guys have none of that. You listen to them, so you're no better. I am awesome, though. They are Gorgeous George and Goes.
Get the radio channel numbers for NFL, NBA, and NHL games sent directly to your smart device. Go to SiriusXM.com/sportsnow. Then click Add to Calendar. You'll even get links sent directly on the SiriusXM app. That same SiriusXM app houses the MMA Junkie Radio Show, so if you ever miss all of it or any part of it, you'll catch it commercial-free and in HD quality. Our next guest is Michael Johnson, dropping to featherweight after a lot of work that he put in as a lightweight, and I thought he had a great career as a lightweight. I'm not even so sure that he's done as a lightweight, but he's trying featherweight for the first time as he drops to compete versus Darren Elkins at UFC Fight Night 124 in his hometown of St. Louis, Missouri. He joins us now on the show. What's up, Michael Johnson? How you doing?
Hey, what's up, man? How you guys doing today?
Doing great, man. Welcome back to MMA Junkie Radio. You're on with George and Goes, and we also have our fight analyst, Dan, here with us. My man, I guess the first thing, how's the camp? How is it preparing for a great fighter, doing a camp, except knowing that now you have 10 pounds less to play with, as a buffer?
Camp's been great, no complaints. I've stayed dedicated, motivated, and I'm extremely more focused than my previous fights at 55. I think a lot has to do with me having to cut that extra weight, so I can't really slack off as much. So, it's been great, man. Everything's been going good.
One thing I remember hearing from Diego Sanchez was that when he did drop, he seemed more susceptible to injury. How about you? I know there's some benefits. We'll get to the benefits, but is one of the drawbacks that just you have to be more careful, in your training camps, pushing it as hard in certain aspects, maybe strength and conditioning or maybe Shark Tanks or things like that?
No, not with me, man. I've pushed harder, through this camp than I have in the previous ones. No injuries, just a few bumps and bruises that come with it. And that's pretty much it. I feel stronger at this weight than I did at 55, actually.
Okay, so just basically discipline with your nutrition, being one of the drawbacks, it sounds like. But now the benefits, I'm sure you feel, what, a lot faster, you know, in your movement and your hand speed?
Yeah, I definitely feel a lot faster. Elkins is going to have some trouble with that Sunday.
Mm-hmm. What do you think of Darren Elkins as your first opponent? He's coming in with a lot of pop. You know, he's kind of been winning a lot of Comeback of the Year awards because of that comeback against Mirsad Bektik. But he's also 5-0, you know, so he's definitely a credible featherweight. I mean, and you coming over with the resume that you had established as a lightweight, you guys could be – the winner of this fight could be a player in the title picture at 145 for 2018.
That's how I'm looking at it exactly. You know, to go in here and get a tough fight against Darren, that's incredible. You know, I asked for one of the toughest guys in the division, and I got one. You know, I'm just excited to get in there and put on a show and get a win, and definitely throw my name in the hat for you know, the title contender next year. This year.
One thing I've always heard about guys from Team Alpha Male, when someone takes an assignment against someone from Team Alpha Male, they go out of their way rather than say, "Oh, he's a southpaw. Oh, he's a wrestler. Oh, he's a this. He's a that." When someone's fighting someone from Team Alpha Male, they go, "Well, he's from Team Alpha Male," and you know they go hard. Why is that? I mean, why is it that gym, I guess, has that type of credibility? And do you think of that, or what's the first thing that jumps out when someone gives you the name of your opponent?
Definitely not. I definitely didn't like put those together and say, "Oh, he's from Team Alpha." Those guys train hard and go hard. That wasn't my first thought. You know, it was just first thought Darren Elkins. Okay, and then I was like, "Oh wait, he trained with Team Alpha Male." So I kind of really almost didn't realize he trained there at first. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, he made the move like 2-3 years ago, and a lot of people have credited the resurgence. More than anything, I think what I meant was,
I know they have a lot of females in their gym, so.
Yeah, I think they do. I know they love to attack the neck. I know they like to walk around without their shirts when they're not training. And I guess more than anything, I guess they have so many bodies that are in the lower weight classes. There's just an abundance of great training partners. So maybe that's why they've just been able to do well, you know, when it comes to the lower weight classes.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they keep a stacked house with a lot of talent. You know, don't get me wrong, but there's no one in that gym that's as fast as me. So
yeah.
You can bring me right up with that.
Well, one thing I've always heard of, going back to Black Zillions and now your Combat Club, if I'm not mistaken, was they go hard, they spar very hard, and they're going for the knockout. You know what I mean? So trust me, your gyms have definitely had reputations as well.
Yeah, thank you.
Michael Johnson, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. He fights this Sunday, UFC Fight Night 124 versus Darren Elkins.
Michael, I know that you made changes in the weight class, but if you look at your last 6 fights, these are like a who's who of mixed martial arts. Very tough fighters, and you contended in a lot of these fights. As far as changes in training goes or anything like that, did you have to do any of that, or was it just a matter of fine-tuning things here and there?
Yeah, you know, when I look back at my last fights, that's exactly what it is. I need to fine-tune some things and be more aware of the situations I'm in. You know, not be so lackey-daisy in there. And, you know, just let the fight slip through my fingers. You know, I lost focus in those fights. And, you know, there's nobody to blame but myself not being fully focused in those fights. So, man, that's all it was. Just going back to the drawing board, doing everything I know that I can do, and, you know, I'll be successful.
I know you weren't happy with your placement on the card. Did you ever get an official answer as to why you were placed where you were?
No. I don't even think they care to give me an answer. And honestly, I'm not looking for an answer, you know, because there's no logical answer or reasoning to that for me, at least. I mean, you know, I don't want to go and say who's fighting them over and coming, but I'm not like being disrespectful towards those guys, so I hope they didn't take it that way. It's just the situation of it is, and the facts that they make no sense to me is why I'm not up there. But, you know, I'm coming into St. Louis to go to war, and that's the only thing that's important to me. So, you know, don't care about the card because I needed to voice that opinion.
Yep, and let me say, I know we're going to put the topic to rest, but let me just say it was heard. I want you to know your name carries weight. A lot of people, retweeted, a lot of people supported, but it's done. And like you said, Michael, the focus is Darren Elkins. Luckily, all the fights are on Fox Sports 1, and I guess it's really just splitting the card in half, calling half of it prelims, half of it main card. But I also supported you. I think you've put in your time in the sport. You've had plenty of great fights, and so I was feeling you. But anyway, let's go over to Dan Tom here, our fight analyst. He's got some questions as well.
Hey, Michael, I just wanted to ask you about the weight. I also saw a quote floating around that you haven't been 145 since high school. So let me ask you, what was the heaviest you weighed? I'm assuming it was around football time, but can you share maybe around what the heaviest you've ever weighed was?
Yeah, the heaviest, I was pushing in about 205 my freshman year of college. And then I ended up not playing my sophomore year. I went to go wrestle, and out of nowhere, I was 2-3 weeks in the wrestling room, and I wrestled at 165 in college. So that's where that weight kind of fluctuated. But, I got pretty big and heavy before I started fighting. I was still around 190.
Wow. And correct me if I'm wrong, when you were fighting at 155 this whole time, you weren't a guy that cut a tremendous amount of weight, or am I incorrect there? Did you still have to cut a lot of weight to get to 155?
No, you're right. I didn't have to cut much weight at all. My last few camps, I was, doing all my camps at like 163, so I wasn't really packing on much weight, but I was able to keep my strength up and my speed, and, that's what I relied on more. And now these, I just want a different look. I see how these lighter guys can take the power of my punches because, my last 55ers have been big. So.
Right, and I guess last question for you. Obviously, you don't need anybody here to tell you the dynamic of this fight and what's ahead. But let me ask you this: who were the teammates that were helping you with the wrestling aspect of this fight? Was it the usual suspects? Was it Des Green and Kamaru Usman?
Yeah, it was Desmond Green. We had a few guys over from Russia and Shamil, and Michael Chandler's been down here doing his camp, so me and him have been wrestling a lot, which is you can't have a better wrestling partner than a Michael Chandler, going with you every day, and as well as Nick Lentz has been on me in grappling as well. So the grappling and Gilbert doing so I have the grappling and the wrestling aspects covered. The striking's covered, and my conditioning feels good and great, and I'm ready for war.
Damn, those are some fucking killer names right there. Especially Chandler, man, how explosive
so
he is.
So think about the practices I've been going through.
Jeez.
Yeah, all right, man. Well, listen, great to catch up with you. I can't wait for Sunday's fight. You versus Elkins should be a great one. And thanks for always slipping us in there and giving us some time on MMA Junkie Radio. We appreciate that as always, Michael.
Yeah, no problem, man. Thank you.
All right, take care. We'll see you. All right, folks. That's Michael Johnson. Follow him on Twitter @FollowTheMenace. Should be a great fight. Whew, those were some names, huh? Lentz?
Man.
Chandler?
He said everything you want to hear, right, from a fighter that's in his position.
Yeah.
But really, if you go back and you look at his matchups, I mean, Gaethje, Nurmagomedov, Poirier, who he got a victory over.
Two of them have never lost. Well,
Diaz.
I mean, Gaethje hadn't at the time. He hurt Gaethje bad. He hurt Nurmi bad. The Diaz fight, I remember he was up early as well.
Darius
was a very controversial decision.
Yep.
Very, very controversial decision. So he's been this far away from also being 4-1 in his last 5 or whatever. I know some people were giving him a hard time about the slide he's been on. But you know what? He's adjusting. All right, let me try this lighter weight class. And I know I've told him, because I've seen him from the first day he faced Jonathan Brookins, and Brookins was a lot bigger. I go, could you ever go to featherweight? And he wasn't feeling it. But eventually he's making the move. He's trying it. We'll see how it goes. Pettis tried it. Didn't work out. Others have tried it. It did work out. So we'll see how he reacts. But it sounds like he's well prepared. But, he's got his hands full, and that's the way it should be. Great fighters should fight great fighters, and both of them are really, really solid in my book. All right, let's take one more break, and then we'll come back and blast through some calls or maybe look at the chat. If you have a question, I guess, I prefer people call in 866-522-2846, but I realize that not everybody can, so I'm going to look at the YouTube chats and Facebook chats, and if you have a question there, fire away. We'll tackle it that way. And if you haven't heard, on March 3rd of 2018, Max Holloway will defend his featherweight belt versus Frankie Edgar. That was broken on MMA Junkie last night. All right, folks, stay close. We'll be right back.
And we're out.
All right, Facebookers. The last thing was CJ Lawrence talking about Covington. So moving on, Shannon Spees, Yo from the Twin Cities. I've always wanted to go to Minneapolis, St. Paul. I don't know why. It just stood out as a city I want to visit.
They have the
one
Target
day.
Center, right? Isn't that their
They do,
big
yeah.
thing?
Keith Radcliffe. Shout out to Keith Radcliffe. Ramundo Martin, a.k.a. Showtime.
It's his time.
It is his time. Shane Keene saying Perry isn't scared because he isn't smart enough to be. Ooh, I think he's coming at Mike Perry. By the way, Mike Perry versus Max Griffin. Where was that fight going? Orlando. I
That
believe.
was yesterday.
If you don't mind, can you pull up the Orlando card?
Yeah.
Some fight bookings have snuck into that fight card, and it looks pretty solid. It's the Big Fox card coming up. The first fight on Big Fox. We'll go over that when we come back. But he does get accused of being a little bit of a meathead. But listen to some of his interviews. He actually dials back and has some pretty interesting thoughts to share. I frankly don't think he cares. I think he's got a little bit of that Diaz mystique where he's just you never know what he's gonna say when he opens his mouth. But a lot of people have been gravitating, becoming Perry fans. If he could just get some wins, a streak of some wins, and he would be really, really popular. Well, yeah, we'll go over that when we come back. Is that the Orlando card? Okay. And a couple more shout-outs here. Shane Keene also says Masvidal is scared of Darren Till. Let me tell you something about Masvidal. He ain't scared of anybody. Now, that doesn't mean he'll beat Darren Till. All right, Darren Till could very well beat him, but Masvidal's from the streets, man. That's a straight-up G right there. He ain't scared of anybody. He won't back down, seriously. Saludos desde Peru goes from Huanca Real Jimenez. Our mom's from Peru, so much love. Saludos para ti también, Huanca. Martin Stabilo from Hawaii, of course. Welcoming back Dan Tom. And Dan Tom's not here, but this one says, ugh, Dan Tom's back. Oh, man, you're so mean. That's Michael Ruffall.
Hey, idiot! Yeah, you! Can you please tap that rather large fellow on the shoulder and tell him it's time for more MMA Junkie Radio with Gorgeous George and Goes? Thank you!
SiriusXM Radio is giving our subscribers the chance to win an opportunity to go to Minneapolis, Minnesota for Super Bowl 52. One grand prize winner will receive a trip for two, including airfare, 3 nights hotel stay, and 2 tickets to Super Bowl 52 on February 4th in Minneapolis, Minnesota. If you're a football fan, this is the ultimate prize. No additional purchases necessary. For official rules and to enter, go to SiriusXM.com/Super Bowl before January 24th, 2018. The NFL entities, as defined in the official rules, have not offered or sponsored this sweepstakes in any way. Legal stuff, we gotta say.
Jargon.
Are we okay over here?
Yeah.
Okay. Do you think as I'm reading this, anybody's going, hang on a second, what about the NFL entities? Have they sponsored this in any way? I'm going to call my lawyer. You know, this just can't be happening. We have to come up with a disclaimer because people are thinking this.
The worst one is Jeep. Remember Jeep when they would do the commercial where they would drive up to the volcano and then they put, hey, don't drive into a volcano?
Did they?
I mean, you can
Oh, that was the best one. Those are the best
Those are
commercials.
the dumbest thing. Like, who would ever do that?
Somebody obviously did. That's why they put it.
You think it's because they did or because they came close or you actually heard that they did?
They just don't want to get sued, right?
That's just how we're wired, I think, now, you know. Like
that makes us stupid, honestly, as a country, if that's the way we're wired.
It does, because, you know, now, for example, I went to the doctor's office, and they have all these things where they go, okay, but you know, these little things they'll say, like, okay, so you're okay with this, and they'll make something really obvious, and you'll go, yeah, didn't I just say, and then I stop and go, oh, wait. Some Momo, some way back, probably found a way to mess this up. So now every patient they get, they have to go and reiterate this thing or be like, by law, I have to let you know that I can't legally do this. You have to tell me that it's okay to do this, or, you know, or I can't handle it. You have to handle it. But aren't you the specialist? Isn't that what I called your company for? Yes, but, you know, lawsuits and this, and it's this whole litigious thing we're in now, right? Everything is.
I just thought of an idea.
When it started? The first one that I remember being weird was, remember the guy from McDonald's that spilled a hot coffee on his lap and sued? That's like the first thing that I remember. Crazy.
Yeah, I remember that one.
But classic. I think where a lot of this stems from is, okay, so the whole legal stuff confuses me, but innocent until proven guilty, right? But there's
Okay.
the other one where it's beyond reasonable proof, or what is it?
Reasonable
Beyond
doubt.
reasonable doubt, or something like that.
Mhm.
Otherwise, innocent. And I'm telling you, I think O.J. Simpson and the Dream Team able to find loopholes or create reasonable doubt. The minute that happened, and everyone else had to say, well, you know, this applies to many other sectors of law. That's why I think you had to make everything airtight. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And I believe the UFC's gone through something like that where, you know, once Frank Mir hurt himself on the motorcycle, I think they had to say, hey, you can't ride a motorcycle. Or at least you can't ride it during camp. You know, they had to protect them. So many companies have had to protect themselves because of things like that. Yeah, examples like the one goes.
Yeah.
But I had an idea. The United States, you always hear about certain states that, or even cities that kind of have their own laws. Well, don't we own territories, right? Like Puerto Rico?
Yeah.
Okay. I wish we owned some sort of an island where
Like where this is
two
going.
parties could
Misfit
agree
island.
to go to this island. Because you know when they go, hey, if you sue, oh my God, it's 2 years of attorneys, and do you really want to go through that and put your children through it, or everybody else? And they're right? It takes forever. I would love if two parties, the bad guy and the good guy, or the plaintiff and the defendant, would sign a paper and go, we ain't got time. Let's just solve this. Kind of like People's Court, except they only go to like 5,000. And they all fly to an island, so that way the federal laws are out. And they have some sort of a judge like Joey Diaz that just goes,
Oh God.
what you got to say about this bitch? You know, and the guy goes, hey, he did this, he did that, I want this much. And then the other guy goes, well, this is what happened, this is my side. And then maybe a witness or two. And then the guy goes, listen, motherfucker, this is the way it is. Pay him. That's it. And you just agree to that, and it's the end of the world. And we just keep these cases moving. You know what I mean? Someone that can just look at it and say, like, call him a common sense judge. Someone that just says, fool, you're an idiot. You're the fucking idiot that spilled coffee on yourself. Get the fuck out of here, honestly. Get out of here. Bring in the next guy. That's how much time we should
And
spend
then
on that.
you're done
you
with
know
the
how much time we
island?
should have spent on OJ?
Yeah,
Really?
it's
OJ
true,
should have went,
it's
wait a
true.
minute. There's blood. There's a glove. Lock him up.
Are you done with the island afterwards, or do you like stick around?
You
and
probably gotta
vacation? The
you-
island is just for this type of stuff.
The islands. Well, no. I mean, I don't know. I don't know how big the island is, but let's say we use Puerto Rico, and we just buy some land, and we have a whole bunch of judges that are like retired.
Ooh.
Like who didn't give a shit? Wapner.
Wapner.
Who's to the point?
Mills Lane was.
Mills
kind of-
Lane to the point. You know, oh, that lady in Spanish.
How about Big John
So
McCarthy?
she's always young. McCarthy, get him in here. Joey Diaz, call them common
Lady in
sense judges.
Spanish.
You know what I mean?
Caso
Where you
Cerrado.
just look at it and go, what? Come on, get the fuck out of here. You spilled coffee on yourself? You're an idiot.
I just
You
feel
know
like
what I mean? You should embarrass that person for doing that.
I feel like part of the island would then also have to be a holding cell for like all the deadbeat dads and degenerate whatever that you end up accruing from these cases.
Yeah, if you lose, there should be a penalty.
Yeah.
Okay, well, the penalty is somehow this rides on your credit report. So it should be something that you carry with you. All right? So now, let's say you're the guy. You're the coffee guy. And you come and you go, I'd like to rent a house from you. And I look at you and you go, wow, you're pretty tip-top. Oh, wait a minute. You once tried to sue over coffee. Hang on a second. You're going to say you tripped on my patio. You're going to sue. Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I like that.
And save time because
I like
I'm telling
that.
you, in
Kinda
South
like a
America,
Yelp.
Yeah.
they don't put up with shit like this. It's
Yeah.
just like, what? What is it? What'd he say? Nah. Dismissed. You're a fool. You're wasting time. That is really what's happening, in my opinion,
He's just a
in
fool.
all of these legal buildings, all these proceedings. I think just big wastes of time are happening. Lawyers and judges, a lot of people are making a lot of money when they really don't need to be, man. All because people are trying to crack these laws and look for loopholes. And
We had a call from Rob Cardenas.
call him, man. I bet you he would agree. I'd send Rob down there. He ain't playing either.
Yeah, he'd be good. He'd be good down there. He'd be a good man.
I
to
mean,
have
how
down
about this
there.
thing with the UFC and what's the thing that's been going on for 2 years? Who's suing
The
who? I
class action?
forgot. I forgot. Yeah, the class action.
Yeah.
Hang on a second. You made this much? Come on. Give him this much money. Fitch, Couture, you were right. Give him this much, and that's it. UFC, you're worth $4.2 billion. Relax. You'll be all right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or if you agree with the UFC, then you tell the fighters, buzz off. You were a grown man. You signed the contract. You know what I mean? Somebody that just looks at it with reason and goes, this is the way it is. Stop wasting time. I really am tired with stop wasting time.
Yeah.
There's so many people
I feel
like
that.
it even affects me, man. Like when I'm talking to people, I feel like I have to like give these disclaimers and
Yeah, I hate that.
cover yourself. It shouldn't be like that.
Yeah.
I can't stand the people that just can't wait to jump down your throat if you say something. They can't
Just
wait.
in the chat room alone. Just in the chat room alone. But whatever. All right. So I wasted everybody's time there. Sorry. We'll get back to some MMA when we come back. George Masvidal will be a guest on our show.
Yeah.
We'll go to the YouTube chat, maybe do some iTunes reviews. We also got to start breaking down some of these fights. We'll be doing some breakdowns after the show, submitting to the editorial team. I think we congratulated Goes. You know he won the staff picks?
Yeah, that's right. He came in big. He came in big. He sweated a little bit on that last card, but
and you'll be part of the staff picks going down for this year.
Uh-oh.
All right, folks. We'll be right back. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM, Rush 93. Stay close. Second look. All right, here we go. It's the second hour of the MMA Junkie Radio Show. Love me some Jackson 5. Some news here. Paul Felder joins Brandon Fitzgerald on the call for Sunday's UFC Fight Night 124. How about Paul Felder?
Yeah.
He's really good at what he does, though.
He really is good. A few people didn't like him at first, but I think he won some people over. But he keeps getting the call back. Good on him. Couldn't happen to a nicer guy. I spent some time with him out in Virginia. and he's just really a chill guy, a solid guy. He really had some nice things to say to the troops when he was there. John Morgan, Ken Hathaway were working this weekend. I ran by, saw John at Extreme Couture for their open house. And they caught up with Dwayne Bang Ludwig and also had a nice sit down with Francis Ngannou if you want to check that out. We're closing in on UFC 220, which is the first big card of 2018. Goes, do you remember I asked you about Orlando? You stopped that window open?
Yeah.
What's that fight card look like? Because I could have sworn I've seen a lot of bookings in it.
So you got Alvi and Pacino.
That's the main event?
No, it can't be.
Oh.
Because this is on Fox.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of fights for the card.
What else they got?
I like the Tisha Torres, Jessica Andrade fight.
Yeah.
Joe Ban and Ben Saunders.
Okay.
I mean, those seem like they would be on the main card. How do you not put UL and David Branch, right?
Of course. Mike Perry versus Max Griffin was just signed.
Yeah, a fight like that is something that you would want for that type of audience.
Perry's from Orlando, so that's perfect. I saw that Barao versus Kelleher. Okay, so I think basically the meat and potatoes is Romero versus Branch. That's got to be the main event at this point, right? Torres and Andrade, the winner has to have a shot at the winner of Rose versus JJ, who I believe will be her next opponent. And then Perry's there for fireworks. God bless Max Griffin. If he can get one over on him, then now he becomes a star. And Joe Ban and Saunders, will be that'll be very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And McMahon, Sarah McMahon's on the card.
It still needs a little bit more, though, right?
Yeah, and they're trying, man. I know for a fact they're trying, but there's one party that does not want to sign, and just that's about it. That's all we can say. But they're trying to still work on Orlando.
And Orlando is a big Fox card, correct?
Yeah.
You know what I love about those cards? I knew it was a big Fox card because
February 24th.
Oh, so they won't get the love from the UFC, the NFL playoffs.
Well, what I was going to say I love about the big Fox cards is, you can tell who's on them because they like to use a lot of the same names, right? We see the Mike Perry. I think him and Joe Ban opened one up last year or the year before, 2016. And not only that, but there's such an emphasis to put on a show, dating all the way back to the JDS Kane inaugural 2011 Team Big Fox show, right, guys? That there's always really well-matched matchups. So, in other words, you're not going to have the minus, you generally, not always, but you're generally not going to have the -4, 500, -600 matchup on the main card for a Fox because they don't want a grappler dynamic or a one-sided smash dynamic. They want an action fight. So if I was one of these fighters, it's like I would want to be on Fox because unless you're getting pay-per-view points, you know what I'm saying, you're not getting really any much of a difference. You're getting the biggest audience. You're going to get a fun matchup, and you're also going to get probably a winnable matchup. That's not too unfair because they're going to want, the matchmakers have such a heavy emphasis for action on those shows. So when I kind of look at matchups on a very deeper level, I'm starting to notice. I've been noticing that the past couple years for Fox shows, you get a lot of fun matchups there.
You're gonna want your guys like back in the day it was a Joe Lozon, those kind of names on it. That people are gonna watch and they're just gonna dig it. I always talk about the sportsbook crowd, right? That's the crowd that's gonna sit there and go, "What's going on?" And then I've seen it. They hang out and they watch the fights based on what's going on.
Yeah.
2 years ago, we had the guy we just hung up with, Michael Johnson, had a great fight with Nate Diaz. Then Nate Diaz came back and won, grabbed the mic, started cussing up some F-bombs, and that pretty much got him some buzz. And next thing you know, Connor says, "I'll take that guy," and boom, superstar.
Yep.
Yeah, it was about 2 years ago today. All right, so going on, I just went over Perry versus Griffin, UFC on Fox 28. And what else do we have? MMA Junkie 2017 Men's Fighter of the Year. Max Holloway got that. I agree with that. The co-main event podcast, folks, and Dundas released show number 288. They're closing in on 300. Arjan Bular announces UFC heavyweight bout versus Adam Wistrek. Who's Arjan Bular?
He's the Canadian Indian gentleman. He fought while we were in
Virginia.
Virginia, yeah. When on that trip with the Felder, he was fighting. I think it's UFC 215 Canada. Yeah. Last time he was there, fighting, I should say.
Let's see here. Mamed Khalidov puts 19-0-1 KSW record on the line. March 3rd, champ versus champ. That guy was in the rankings because he had a good record, and he was just whooping ass. But eventually, he just wasn't. And at some point, he actually had really good competition.
Yeah,
it was veteran UFC competition. But you just can't sustain.
Yeah.
If he wakes up every morning and is happy with his career, then stay a star in Poland. But at any point he has juices like, oh, man, I wonder if I'm one of the best. I want to test myself. What has he been waiting for all these years to just come over and try and figure it out,
Yeah.
and take on Branch and Jotko and Rockhold and whoever else and make a run here. I
wish we knew what the paydays were over there.
I heard he's popular
because
and pays well, but
it's huge over there.
It is.
It's just whether here it is. Here's what it boils down to: the fighters know that when they come to the UFC, it'll be a pay cut, but in the UFC, a fight or two, and where you're doing good and maybe collect the bonus, you're evening things out. And if you become a contender, you'll smash what you make anywhere else in the world. It's just a lot of fighters don't want to take that risk. I think they prefer the stability. I think that's all I can attribute it to. But when you're a fighter, don't you wake up in the morning thinking you can fuck anybody up, or do you wake up?
I don't
scared
think all
like,
of them do.
Like me, if I go tonight to whatever nightclub here and I see the bouncer, I'd look at him and go, I can't take that guy. But I would think that a fighter who's fearless, like everybody knows a tough guy in their group, and you just go, man, I got a buddy back home. He'd fight the bouncer. I mean, when you're programmed like that and you're fearless, I think, but all it takes is a knockout or two, and you get checked, and you're like, eek, I just need to collect paychecks and bounce out of this sport healthy.
See, I see what you're saying, but then I also kind of see what Goz is saying. Maybe I'll put it in this analogy. Because again, these guys are all brave. We're not commenting on anybody's character, but let's put it in restaurant terms. George, would you rather go to the best go to the best pizza joint, but you got to wait in line? You're going to sit in a different place. There's a lot of people coming through because it is the best pizza joint, so you might not have that same rapport with the staff. Or you go to Joe Schmo's down the street. It's not as good, but it's a little cheaper. You're always going to get your seat. They're going to treat you like royalty. You're going to be able to sit with your back to the wall like you're a mafia don every time you go in there.
Mm-hmm.
What's worth more to you, right? I think if we put it in those terms, then maybe it makes a little more sense that some guys maybe they'll stay in their own little area.
Yeah, but I still think at some point the fighters, even as tough as they are, identify the point where they know, man, I ain't got it to beat that guy.
Yeah.
I can't unseat that guy or that gal or whatever.
Yeah.
I just need to be the big dog over here. Or sometimes it's your age. You've already been there, done that. You just didn't reach the top. Other times, you just that you're watching great. And I think a lot of people can sit back and watch DJ and go, fuck, how did he beat that guy?
Yeah, right.
John Jones, when he was on a roll, you're like, holy cow, But there's others that are programmed differently. And I mentioned Barao versus Kelleher, also Orlando's.
I like the fight.
Fox 28 card.
Barao.
What happened to that guy? Mike from Miami.
Yeah, well, it was Barao's in the Orlando card?
Mm-hmm. Barao is, yeah.
Oh, close to Miami. Ooh.
It turns out Cyborg doesn't really enjoy that slap, by the way.
I saw that article.
But going back, Perillo, the last 17 fights, has delivered the slap. And if I'm not mistaken, Ray Elby, who is her boyfriend, is the one filming, and he's giggling. So I think that team has just established that that's just the ritual. But I think what's going to happen is it's just going to come and go.
Mm-hmm.
It just got highlighted for a bit, and again, it got highlighted a little bit more just because of all the stuff that's going on with equality and gender issues and movements. But for 17 fights, if that's been part of the ritual, I think she's just okay with it. And I don't think the coach is going to stop doing it. I think they're just going to keep marching forward. I
agree.
Now, she is taking a little bit of heat because of the UFC and Nunes pushing for the fight and her wanting to fight Pam Sorensen if Megan Anderson isn't ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Man, I love me some Cyborg, but I think I have to agree with the others. Like, I don't want to see Pam Sorensen, and I don't want to. I want to see Megan Anderson,
right.
But if she's not ready to go, then I think I'm ready to see champion versus champion. How about you guys?
I'd want to see it regardless, but I could see Megan Anderson. That makes sense, but Pam, not so much.
Right. So she says she's
And
trying to
especially
establish
money-wise,
145
right?
and leave something behind. Correct.
If you're
More
getting
money comes
paid
from
that much money,
Mm-hmm.
they're not going to pay you to fight Pam. That doesn't make any sense.
And what's Holly's record at 145? Did she get the win before she got a title shot?
Yeah,
she's 0-1 at 45, right? Versus Jermaine.
Yeah, it's weird. It's a weird place to put your foot down. Now, if you're going to put your foot down and you have a guaranteed Megan Anderson, then maybe, like you guys said, maybe it's a different story. But now, when you mention other names or other options, I don't think anybody's really going with that. And I can appreciate the sentiment, what she's trying to say, and trying to make a real division. And I have no qualms with any of that, what she's saying, guys. But selfishly, you you can't treat that division like a normal division because it's not a normal division. And, you know, we talk about special treatment, but let's be honest, special treatment fits in a lot of places in this sport. We like to complain and, well, the special kids get the special treatment, or Connor or Paige or whatever. But you know what? The special treatment is good for certain things, and I wouldn't mind it in this case. I don't think it takes away anything from Cyborg's legacy. Even if, you know, Nunes were to upset her and win, I still don't think it takes away from Cyborg. Obviously, she's not as big as she once was, but yeah, man, I don't get it. I don't get it. I selfishly want to see the fight.
If you're gonna play that game, though, the game that Cyborg's playing,
okay,
you better play till the very end, because the second something comes up that's in your favor that doesn't make sense, people are gonna be all over you.
It's true.
That's the thing.
That's true.
Going over to the YouTube chat, shout out to Knuckle Up 101. Good morning and afternoon. Back to you, sir. Christian Andazola says, ask Masvidal about going back to 155. I plan on it. Knuckle Up 101 says, Big John and Goldie as a team. Sure, that'll work. Or Big John versus Morrow. I don't know what the end result is there of how they figured out who does what. Sometimes one guy's in there for the prelims, or one guy's there for the whole show. I think the number one guy is Morrow, though, right?
Yeah.
And if he can't go, Goldie. Okay.
Or sometimes they're both on the same card.
Shout out to Don Piccolo and Ralph Lauren. Christopher Stillwell as well, saying, what's up? Luis Mata, is this other sport junkie? Shout out to the dude on the right. Go, shout out to you.
Thanks.
No, it's not other sport junkie, but it's other stuff happened yesterday that was pretty big junkie. So, and I watched the game. Did this just start? We go 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Monday through Friday Pacific time. And that's from Dan Flynn. Let's take a call. 866-522-2846. Marco from Waco. What's up, Marco?
Marco from Waco. ¿Qué pasa, dude?
What's up, Holmes?
Hey, Dan, welcome back.
Hey, thanks, Marco.
Yeah. No, you guys talking about the 140. I've talked about this before, the 145 division for women in the UFC. They fell asleep on the wheel because Bellator sent a lot of the big names at 145, like Marlos Curan, even Jorina Bars, man. Jorina Bars holds a win over freaking Cyborg on Muay Thai. That sells itself out. You know, the last women to beat Chris Cyborg on any combat sport. But they were asleep on the wheel because they were not taking 145 seriously, man. It pissed me off. But maybe I bet they're going to sleep on it now. When it comes to, I just saw a video on YouTube of Tommy Toho, the Stone Cold Stipe, and it reminds me how much they've been promoting Francis Ngannou, like he was already the de facto champion. And we forget that freaking Stipe has led Junior Dos Santos, he has led Alistair Overeem, has led Andrei Arlovsky, has led Fabricio Verdun, and beat the crap out of freaking Mark Hunt for 4.5 rounds. We're disrespecting the champ a lot, man. I don't like it, bro. I think that the underdog champion is going to pull out the upset. Peace out.
See you, buddy.
I think a lot of people share that sentiment. But it's so easy to promote Ngannou.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't you, right?
Yeah, and that's the thing is Stipe doesn't promote himself. He self-admits, I just don't talk trash. I don't really, you can barely get him to say he's the baddest man on the planet, which really he is. He's a part-time firefighter. He loves his wife and his dog, and that's it. There's just not much of a story to write because he doesn't really want it, I guess. He's more of a private person. I think the other guy is ready to rock and roll with, gold chains and Lamborghinis and, taking over the town of Las Vegas. So I kind of don't fault the UFC for a little bit of what they've done. And I just don't think that Stipe has allowed himself to be marketed better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. What you say there, George, especially just with his what can you do for the equation, but I also like that Marco does bring up that fact because that's one of my favorite dynamics. We recently did a top 5 episode on my podcast for top 5 title defenses, and I noticed a lot of the things on my list. I don't know about you guys, a lot of my favorite title defenses were ones where the champion was kind of counted out, and you had this new up and coming, but then the champion kind of held his ground. Like I always kind of appreciate those title defenses.
Give me an example of one of those.
Let's see. maybe not a championship title fight, but like I don't know, maybe because I was just studying this fight, but the Swanson Choi reminds me of that dynamic where you have the veteran and you have the guy set up, and the veteran shuts him down. But that one wasn't for a title. But I guess that dynamic for a title, I guess it would be. Oh boy. I mean, we forget, but a lot of George St. Pierre's fights were like that. He was so great, but you know when Alves was coming up, he was a beast, right? And a lot of these guys, and even you guys said yourself, we've all been there, right? We've had that betting ticket where like, did we just bet against the best pound for pound fighter, and he just reminded us that he's the best pound for pound fighter. So I think a lot of those examples can be found throughout history timeline. Even when you look at the best fighters, John Jones or GSP, I believe, at certain points of their career, were in that position where they were like, oh, maybe this will be the guy. This will be the guy that'll beat him. And nope, it wasn't the guy that's going to beat him. Sorry.
What about Chuck Liddell and Vanderlei Silva?
It wasn't for a title, but that was a.
But same market where they go, hey, we're bringing this dude coming in
well,
here, and he's going to mop the floor with Chuck.
It's a tough one, huh? Now that I think about it,
a tough one,
no, there's definitely one.
Well, who are the five?
And
you don't remember the five?
We can't move on until we figure out at least one of them.
Yeah, I want to figure out one. So there was a champion who was being doubted, and then he swatted away the. Oh, I know one. I think I can think of one.
Okay.
Didn't everybody think that Anthony Johnson the second time was going to take out DC? Like just because of three
that's
vicious
a great
KOs?
one. That's a great one. Yeah,
and
that
DC,
is a great one.
No, hell no, I'm still the champ, and then went on to submit him. Yeah, so
remind us
that's
that
about as current as we can get, I guess.
Yeah, that's a great one. That's a great one. Yeah.
Yeah. And of course Stipe's in that position to do it with Francis Ngannou coming up.
Yeah.
Start your day with SiriusXM. Enable the SiriusXM skill on your Amazon device. Then tell Alexa to set an alarm for your favorite channel, which in this case is Rush 93. And you'll wake up to the sounds of SiriusXM. With SiriusXM and Alexa, you can get the latest sports news each morning without picking up your phone or turning on the TV. Let's take a couple more calls. Start off with Ollie in Arizona. What's up, Ollie?
How you guys doing?
Good, and you?
How are you?
Good. I had a question. I want to get you guys' opinion on scoring in MMA. I know we've seen some pretty crazy scorecards over the past couple years, and one that kind of recently stuck out to me was the Cyborg and Holly Holm scorecard. I couldn't believe that. I heard that fight was pretty much tied on the judge's scorecard going to the 5th round. And I was thinking that, like, I wonder what your opinion on possibly, not so much changing the rules in scoring, but possibly having 5 judges over 3 judges to kind of, like, lessen the chances of those insane scorecards that we've seen lately. And what do you guys thought about that?
Well, the only thing that I can compare it to is if you're on social media and you look at Twitter and you're going through all the journalists and their scores, it's kind of the same thing. Like, no matter how big that sample group gets, we're always looking at the fight differently.
Right.
So, I mean, I could see instances where it would help, but there's other times where I just think we're all over the place. Like, even the 3 of us, we come in sometimes and we're
the
all
placement
over
of the judges, where you're going to have them. There's thought of having one in the back with, no influence, maybe one up top and then the 3 around, because the 3 around plus everything else that's going on, it's pretty tough.
Where it will help is when you have that one judge that, like, you have one guy that's 30-27 one way and then the other guy's 30-27 the other way. That should never happen. So I could see it maybe helping in that instance.
Yeah, and I think John used to say it in the past. If they can't even get the fight right, much less should we be adding judges. But I really believe the judges take a lot of harsh criticism. I just used you as an example the other day, Dan. Let me see if I have it on my phone. Continue, Ollie, with your call, and then we'll address. I'll come back to this topic. Was there anything else? Ollie, you there?
Just wanted to say you guys are the best show ever.
Oh, okay, you there?
We got the part about us being the greatest show.
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, what else you have, buddy?
And another great example, too. God, remember the Triple G and Canelo fight? Remember that one?
Yeah. So you want it for boxing and MMA?
Scorecard. Oh, just in general, just like, between combat sports, I've just seen some crazy, insane scorecards, and sometimes I'm thinking, like, what are these guys watching? I mean, like, I know it's a tough job or whatnot, but there just always seems to be that one judge that has some insane scorecard that kind of throws the whole fight off sometimes, And maybe having 2 extra ones to kind of lessen those chances. I mean, it won't, like, change the rules of MMA, but maybe more might help in situations like that.
Yeah, I don't know, bud. I think 3 are getting it. I just don't know that there's many disappointments as there are. I also feel like media and fans are getting it more. The fighters are getting it more. I don't think the judges were that bad throughout this whole time. Some judges have turned in some bad calls, but I think it's just the human element. I think a judge is going to have a bad night. A ref's going to have a bad night. Same way a fighter's going to have a bad night. There's times where I've turned in picks and I go 0-5, and sometimes I go 5-0. It's just right now everyone's got a voice, and sometimes when you rally the troops, it can make it look like it's a lot worse. But I was a proponent at 5, and I wouldn't be opposed to it. I just don't know that
But it's definitely not gonna hurt.
we need it right now. I think we've passed it, and I think we're figuring it out. Same thing with the 10-9 system. I think the 2017 rules that made 10-8s a little bit more flexible. I like that. So we'll see, man. You had an ally about 2-3 years ago, and right now I think I'm content with seeing what I've been seeing, to tell you the truth. Thanks for the call, buddy.
Thanks, guys. Keep up the good work.
All right, see ya. Dan, you respect all those guys on that list,
yeah,
right?
100%.
Read what Simon Head said.
Cyborg is clearly on top now. She evens the fight up on my scorecard, and it goes down to the 5th and final round. This is now officially the longest fight of Cyborg's 20-fight MMA career, 38-38 even.
Right. That's Simon Head. Works for Junkie. Works for the BBC, if I'm not mistaken. Solid guy. That's how he saw it through his lenses, we'll say. The next guy is Dan Tom. That's you. How did you have it?
Got Cyborg up 3-1. Curious what Cyborg by decision was.
Right. So there you have it. A guy has it 2-2. One guy has it 3-1. That's the fight analyst right there. He works for Junkie. He's well respected. Even before us, he worked for Flow Combat. There's fighters that ask him to break down fights. His opinion's valued. Who's the next guy?
Josh Gross.
All right. I mean, I don't even think I have to name his accolades, but go ahead. What did you write?
Says mean jab by Cyborg in round 4. Champ didn't do a ton in that period, but Holm did less. 40-36 Cyborg.
Yeah, and that could be 3 judges also along the octagon, just kind of weighing things differently or whatever. The one thing I didn't add to with all these calls was, in the end, I fucking love controversy.
Yeah.
So really, when it does become controversial, I've never really showed up on Monday going, God damn it, we got to address controversy. I just feel like that's some of the shows that pop the most because people are tripping.
Yeah. As a
they
radio
lost
host
money.
or as a fan?
Fan too, because I like to go in there and box and mix it up, like under the boards when you're rebounding. I don't mind it as much. But that right there, I saw it the other day. It was you three on the timeline. It's not like I had to copy paste.
Right.
You three came up, and so it's just, it doesn't mean the judges are bad. It doesn't mean you guys don't know what you're watching. It's just we all have different opinions of what we're seeing, and we could wheel in a blonde right now, right? And of the 3 of us, one of us might be going, fuck yeah, I love blondes, and the other 2 are, where's the brunette, or where's the redhead, or where's the curly-haired girl, or where's the girl with the short hair, or you know what I mean? We all just have different tastes. You could wheel in and say, Dan, we just bought you a brand new car. It's a muscle car. Fuck, I wanted a Corvette. Dan, we just, Goes, we just brought you a Corvette. Shit, I'd rather have a motorcycle.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what I mean? I just think now that we kind of know where we're sitting, again, the fighters have to make the adjustment and make sure they convincingly win rounds.
Yeah.
And not leave it in the judges' scorecards, which goes back to something that's been said for a long time, but it was kind of true. One more. Showtime in Tennessee. What's up, Showtime? It's yo time.
What's going on, fellas?
What's up, man?
Showtime.
What up, Dan Tom? I see you back, baby. What's up?
Hey, what's up, dude? How you doing?
Man, I was fighting the same shit you probably was fighting, man. That flu was a motherfucker. I had it almost 2 weeks.
Dude.
And all I drank was whiskey. I'm a cowboy.
Oh, I wish I could do that. You're a savage, dude.
Yeah, man. Hey, talking about Stipe and Ngannou fight. Now, keep this out from the UFC's eyes, man. You know they probably love Stipe. He's a good guy. But just imagine how you can package Big Ngannou. Now, just look at how when he first came to how he's got a stylist to, you seeing the big guy wearing suits, and he has a little fancy haircut now with the little colored zigzag in it. I mean, somebody's putting some money behind this guy and got him a stylist. He can speak good enough English where we can hear him. I mean, he's a big dude. Just imagine what they could do if he's the heavyweight champion. I mean, if he's the guy now.
Yeah.
I mean, and I love Stipe to death, but Stipe boring, man. He's boring. Stipe bad for business, to be honest. He's bad for business.
Yeah, Stipe.
A guy like Ngannou is good for business.
The resume Stipe has, he should be way more popular and be making a lot more cheddar, But he hasn't on his side. His personality isn't one of those to, thump his chest and say he's the baddest. it's unfortunate because that could really, I mean, he'd be a complete superstar. Now, he may sit here and listen and say, I don't want that, and it's not unfortunate. I'm happy where I am.
Right.
But he said it once before and then realized he wasn't making as much as Overeem, and then he had a problem with it. And at one point or another, you realize that the money really is important, especially if it's out there and others are making it. You know what I mean? All it takes is a loss or just some sort of adversity, and you're like, oh, shit, why didn't I get mines? Showtime, if Ngannou wins, oh, man, I think the UFC is really going to get behind him. He's really just pretty captivating, to tell you the truth.
Dude, I can imagine them doing
Perfect
like
personality.
redo that Mean Joe Green commercial with Ngannou and the fight kit. There you go. Fight kits are back in business.
He's just I
throws
think
it. Yeah, thanks, Mean Joe.
Yeah.
just that French accent is the only thing that maybe kills him a little bit, but for the
I was
most
kind
part,
of cool though.
do you?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Tyson got away with the lisp, and nobody had a problem with that.
Like
right?
even when Usain Bolt, when he speaks, he's
Lennox
got his
Lewis.
little bit of an accent. Yeah, Lennox Lewis.
Lennox
I kind
Lewis.
of dig it actually.
I just wish he had a Dikembe Mutombo voice or something like that.
Not in my house. Not in my house. No.
Yeah, or just
Love
I don't
Mutombo.
know. All right, but thanks for the call. We got to move on to commercial. Stay, drive safe out there, Showtime. All right, folks, we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we'll talk to Gamebred George Masvidal. See when his next fight might be. London versus Bisping in April versus Neil Magny. He threw those out. Maybe there's some other things on his mind. We'll find out. It's MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93.
I feel bad for you, son. I got 99 problems, but a bitch ain't one. I got the rap patrol on the cat patrol. Foes that
The
want
link
to
to
make
the
sure my
MMA
cats
Junkie Radio Network. Hit us up on Twitter.com @MMA Junkie Radio. This is MMA Junkie Radio. Here are your hosts, Gorgeous George and Goes.
Get the radio channels for NFL, NBA, and NHL games sent directly to your smart device. Go to SiriusXM.com/sportsnow. Then click Add to Calendar. You'll even get links to listen directly on the SiriusXM app. We struck out again with Pinche George Masvidal. What the fuck, man? He actually wrote me this morning, let's go, I'm fired up. All right, so are we.
Yeah, that's the weirdest, when they actually reach out and that happens.
Yeah. So, we'll move on and take calls. 866-522-2846. I'll also pull up the iTunes and maybe read off a few more of those.
I wanted to hear Goes tell Jorge Masvidal who his dream tag team would be to pair him with for pro wrestler.
Yeah. Do you know who that is, George?
George Masvidal, of course.
Yeah. No, who I picked to be his tag team partner. It's got to be a pro wrestler.
MMA? Oh, pro wrestler. Yeah, I have a feeling you chose the guy that used to wear a mask, 619.
No. Rey Mysterio?
Yeah.
No. That's who I'd put Goito with him.
And their nickname was going to be Hispanics Causing Panic.
Nah. Razor Ramon.
Yeah.
You've got to
He's fucking 60 years old, though. I
Hey,
think
yo.
someone more current. Okay.
Nobody,
all-time greats?
We don't know the more current guys.
I could still show George spots around Florida.
That'd be a good one. I mean, yeah, I guess it would make some sense. Both of them Cuban. Or, yeah, I mean, Razor Ramon, the character, and George for real.
Yeah,
half
for
Cuban.
real. Yep.
Ben in New Zealand. What's up, Ben? How you been?
I've been sweet, Gigi. I just heard you struck out with my man Jorge Masvidal.
We did, but you're a nice backup.
Two things.
I'm glad to have you as backup.
Yeah, I am. There's two things I want to say. One is that yesterday you were talking about throwing out the idea that you would like make some sort of pamphlet or something about some of the behind-the-scenes stories of Junkie Radio and some of the behind-the-scenes things that you guys have been through over the years and in your many years in the sport. To which I say, Balderdash, you need to make a video series. No one reads pamphlets anymore. What the hell is this? 950? You guys are multimedia superstars.
What I meant was rather than like a hard book cover, just something that's like
an ebook.
Yeah,
right?
like a smaller version of a book. Yeah.
Oh, you meant like print it out?
Yeah. No.
Oh,
so I was saying, you know how people write books
and
they go, look, my hard copy book is a bestseller on the New York Times. Well, obviously, I knew we couldn't reach those heights, but rather than one of those books, have you ever seen just those smaller pamphlets that you can just? I don't know that we have enough stories to do that. In other words.
Dude, you'd be shocked, man. Really, when you think about it.
You guys have a lot of stories.
There's a lot of things that.
What you need is a listener who's an animator, so you can just, pick a day, tell a story, and then if someone wanted to animate a story, do what Gigi said, and then that would be
now
some
that
fun
I
stuff.
have some kick-ass ones. I have some personal kick-ass ones. I was just laughing at one today.
I went to school with somebody who does that, and they said it's really expensive.
Right, that's the thing. I heard the same thing, but. If anybody had animation skills, I have great street fight stories and partying stories, and then whatever we've accumulated through Tag and MMA Junkie Radio, that would be simply amazing. On the way in, I was talking to a friend of mine whose name I can't reveal, but I just couldn't stop laughing thinking about the time we snuck in some tequila shots on his
Masvidal's on the line.
On his Long Island iced teas and fucked them up so bad that at the end of the night he was actually making out with a hot chick, and as he was making out, he just basically kind of said like, "Excuse me for a second," and just hurled. Incredibly far. I think. And I just remember the girl kind of going like, "What the fuck?" Like, she was that close to getting hurled on. I mean, it was literally just making out, and then he just kind of stopped, like, "Excuse me for a second."
I've never had a girl puke on me. Vice versa for that matter. But
it was a lot, dude. It was so much.
Dude.
He forgot he was making out, and the girl left. Her girlfriends were like, "Hurry up, you little hoe, just get his number or whatever." All of a sudden, he's doing that, and the girl just walks away, and then he has to start like cleaning himself up, and he didn't even realize like where's the girl. You know, he was on such another planet that he just got in the car and we took off to Denny's, but he didn't even remember that he was actually right there in the middle of making out before that happened.
Oh, that was the same night as the counter thing?
Night, yeah.
Oh, okay.
All right, let's move on to our next guest. I'm sure he could write a book as well. His name's George Masvidal. They call him Gamebred. He joins us now on MMA Junkie Radio. What's up, George? How you doing?
What's up, big man? How you doing? How you guys doing?
Doing great, man. Hey, how close are you to writing a book? Would you ever write a book? I imagine you have a lot of stories to tell.
That shit's already in stores. You didn't pick it up yet?
Not yet, man. What's it called?
Gamebred, The Mind of a Maniac.
I like it.
Okay, all right. No, for real, has anyone ever approached you?
Yeah, I've been approached, but that's a lot of work, man. You gotta like, you know, I'm gonna do it one day, but I gotta be like not in this country to tell these stories, you know.
Right, I got you. How you feeling? How were the holidays for you?
They were good, chilling. You know, for those that don't know, Latin people throw like very huge parties. Everybody gets together. You know, I don't know if every culture does, but I know like the Latins do a lot. You know, like 100 people, one house usually for any of the holidays. I did some of that, and eating, lots of eating, man. Which is where I fucked up, you know.
So that probably answers my next question. Somebody in our chat room said, "Hey, ask him if you'd ever dropped the lightweight." With I think you said you would. I don't think you do it anytime soon, but I think you said for the right fight you would or something like that.
Yeah, the right fight, meaning a lot of money, you know, lots of money, because my body fat is so low at that weight that, man, life just sucks. You know, I don't get to eat too many carbs, so I'm like a shell of myself. I feel like at 55 when I have to be on those strict diets, you know.
Right. All right. So I saw whether it be on video or social media, you said you let Bisping know you tangled with him in London, and you let Magny know that you tangled with him in the month of April. Are any of those possibilities strong possibilities, or are you maybe more like in a holding pattern and waiting for something else now?
No, those are just two fights that with the Bisping thing, it's I don't like actually either of them, especially Bisping. I just don't like him as a person. I never really liked him even before I met him, and then once we had our encounters, I like him even less, you know. So with him, it's just a personal thing, you know.
Yeah.
And he disrespected the country when he ripped up the flag. So I mean, he's got the bounty on his head. So I would like to cash in before he retires. Okay. That's why I'm willing to fight so early. But if it's up to me, I'm just going to be in the gym getting better to like July, August, and just train, and not even work. Just go to the gym without having to fight. Just training and getting better and doing new things and changing up old habits, you know. And that takes a little bit of time to drill those movies and execute them. So that's the only reason why I'm willing to step up early, is because I don't like Bisping's ass. Okay,
so you haven't disqualified yourself. You would fight in London if they asked, just to be clear, right?
The money's right, yeah, because we had talked about it earlier. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't even know nothing, man. I lost my mind. I'm talking too much, man. I'm probably getting in trouble already, bro. But I would fight his ass if they take care of me with the numbers. Yeah, I'd like to put an end to it, dude.
Okay, and then the Neil Magny fight, is that something you're still interested in, or no?
Definitely. Either one of those guys I'm always interested in, because I just don't like either of them, you know? Mm-hmm. So either one of them could do it. But if not, I'm going to just be in the gym getting better, you know? Just training, getting better, competing.
Right.
In the gym, within the gym, just having fun, you know? Like when I first got into it, it's just fun going to the gym and not having no expectations, just getting better every day.
Right. Now, what do you feel like you need to work on the most between now and July or August or whenever it is you want to fight?
It's a couple of things. I can't really get into detail of it, but the main one is finding myself, man. Finding what does me best, you know, because there's different trainers, different people telling me what to do. Not that it's bad or good, but I just gotta fit. I gotta do what fits me the best naturally, you know, without trying to change up too much of my style or jeopardize too much. I like to fight with my hands down, but obviously every coach thinks it's not a good thing. So I just little things like that. I'm giving you an example, but it's not that exactly. You know, just a bunch of things.
Mm-hmm. Is it also just about taking time off, letting nagging injuries heal, or or is it just really working on techniques?
Those nagging injuries are always going to be there for life, so I don't think taking time off like 6 months at least will do enough. I've had some injuries for like 4 or 5 years that ain't going nowhere, so it's like I know that like just 5-6 months won't do it, you know. But it does help with that, you know, not having to meet a certain weight requirement or having to run X amount of miles because your knees bummed that day. So instead of that, you just swim or do something else that's not on the calendar, you know, and just training. The main thing is just training. Just me going to the gym and having fun.
Yeah, there you go. George Masvidal, our guest here on MMA Junkie Radio. Goes, what do you have for Game Bread?
Well, that was actually one of the questions I was going to ask him was, is it still fun for you? Do you ever get over MMA at times?
I never get over MMA when there's like an opponent that I want to fight, you know, because I know what it requires to beat, even whether I like to do it or not. I know what it requires to beat everybody. So it's like that hunger to go to the gym and beat everybody up and run the most amount of miles and do the most amount of laps. All that comes like igniting back as soon as you get like a fight, or at least for me, you know, I might not want to run today. I don't want to wake up at 6 in the morning and do sprints with the team. I don't, you know, I don't. And I might not do it on the off season. But when I got to fight, I'm there every time because you got that fire. You know what it takes to beat these guys up. So you push yourself right through it, you know. Do I still love to do sprints? Nah, I don't really care to do sprints early in the morning or hit the swimming pool early in the morning. Those are things I really don't care for that much, you know. I like to push, but I don't like the lack of sleep and stuff like that.
I'm going to try a new segment, George.
Okay.
It's called What Does Your Gut Say, George Masvidal. Does your gut say...
Oh, let's do it. And I can be 100% honest?
Yep. Does your gut say, whether it's in the cage or outside the cage, will you and Michael Bisping mix it up at some point?
Man, that's the outside of the cage is entirely up to him because he's crossed the line a couple times. And it's just that it's like UFC employees are there and things like that. Like, man, fuck, man. I want to say if we ever met in an alley and he tried any of those antics, it's going to happen 100% for sure. And that's just me being 100%, which if he was to do those antics where I'm not going to get in trouble because the UFC personnel is not there, I don't care if I get knocked out. I don't care if I knock him out. It would happen because I'm not going to get disrespected like that and nothing happen. Inside of the UFC is one thing because the fucking, you know, my boss, Sean Shelby's there. You know, I can't be acting up a fool. Or Sean Shelby's there. You can't be acting up a fool, you know, unless he put his hands on me. That's a different story. But if we're out in public and he does any of that shit, split in half, right then and there. Dead on sight.
George, you guys had 2 incidents in New York. Have you ever had any others that we just haven't heard about? Any other close calls?
Yes. We had a huge one, this motherfucker, man. In China, what happened with Gastelum happened. I wasn't even trying to look at him. I got brought there as a guest fighter. So after I'm in the hotel taking pictures with the fans in the lobby, and I see him coming already. And I'm like, man, let me just avoid this dude. I don't even want to see him. I know he's coming off the L. I don't even want to fuck with the dude, bro. I wasn't even trying to look at him. So I have, like, my back turned against him. I'm taking pictures with a couple people. He comes up right to my face, like 2 feet away from me, sticks his hands out, puts a middle finger in my face, goes, fuck you, Masvidal, you punk, and he walks off. What am I going to do after that? You know what I'm saying? You're not going to just disrespect me for nothing either. Me and you don't even have a fight sign and you're doing this when I'm avoiding you, and you still coming out of your way to be an asshole? So then we got into like a little bullshit. They had to shove him in the elevator. They had to shove me to the back, you know. Nothing happened. And then after that, that's when I send them the message, the personal message, like, yo, you're such a tough guy. When there's a million people here, you make these shows, but me and you could just talk like men. I'm actually messaging you right now because we're in the same hotel room, and we could just go somewhere and talk like men. You don't got to do all this shit when there's people around if you really don't like me, because me and you don't have no fight. So you got to stop making these shows when you see me, you know? And in New York, he started the same shit. He put his fingers in my face. You can talk all the shit you want. You just can't get close enough to where I could touch you or you could touch me, you know?
Could it ever end if he just said, all right, let's meet, and then he goes, hey, man, I'm just trying to build fights. My bad on the flag, and that's that? Could it end, or is it past all that?
But to me, it's like, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm not going to see him and go out of my way to start a fight with the dude, you know?
Yeah.
But if I'm somewhere and he's doing that bullshit, it's going to be on every time. I'm never going to turn away from a good time either. I love the fight. So if you want to fight, we could do it. However, from here till we're both in a senior citizen home. I don't give a fuck. If he's not looking for the fight, then I'm not looking for the fight either. You get it? I'm not going to be a bully either. If you don't want to fight, then fucking leave me alone and I won't talk to you or look at you even. Do the same with me.
Yeah. You know, another thing that can happen, George, while you're away, getting better, you know, training and things like that, is sometimes the division can just shake out in your favor. Have you ever thought of that? Just like, you know, you heal from injuries, you get better at your different techniques, travel, you know, whatever. And then as that's happening, a lot of the other people that are, you know, that have had some success in your division, sometimes they take a loss, and then boom, next thing you know, you're a factor again.
No, definitely, but the only way I consider myself being a factor, and this is man to man, I know there's other people listening, but this is because you're my boy and I tell you this, is if I can't beat, like, Damian Maia or Steven Thompson. You know, get the skill set enough to beat those guys to move forward in my career is what I'm really trying to do. You know, I know I'm not going to get a rematch with them anytime soon. I've never had one rematch in my whole career, so I don't bank that I'm getting a rematch. But the new game bred that has to resurface has to be able to beat those guys in order to move on. So when you say that, I see like, oh, maybe stylistically I might match up better with this dude and this dude because this guy doesn't move, or one guy that likes to wrestle a certain way. Maybe, yeah, but to me that doesn't matter. To me what matters is getting better as a fighter, and meaning that I could have beat those two guys, you know, on those nights.
Right.
That's what me getting better means to me.
Okay. Do you mind if we take a quick commercial and then continue with our questions? We have a few more for you.
Yeah, sure.
All right.
Let's go.
All right, there you go. Gamebred's game for hanging out with us for just a bit longer. You're listening to MMA Junkie Radio on Sirius XM Rush 93. It's just a quick commercial. We'll come back and we'll continue with our guest, Jorge Masvidal, one of the top welterweights in the UFC.
They can drink Mentos-flavored Diet Coke without their stomachs giving a single fuck. They are Gorgeous George and Goes. And this is MMA Junkie Radio.
Finishing things up here with Jorge Masvidal, one of my favorite guests. I sometimes like talking to George over fighters that have a fight coming up.
Yeah.
There's just some fighters that they don't show up to the interview, man. By that I mean they're saying things, but no one's listening. When George is talking, everyone's listening. All right, back to Goes with our guest, Jorge Masvidal. Welcome back, George. Thanks for hanging in there with us. We have a few more questions. Go ahead, Goes.
Jorge, what does your gut tell you? Will you retire a UFC fighter? You there?
George, you there?
Yeah, I just want to play a joke on y'all. Yeah, what does my gut retire? What do you mean if I retire a UFC fighter? You mean
So-
like if I go somewhere else and finish my career elsewhere?
Yeah, like, do you feel like when you have your last fight of your career, it will be in the UFC?
I'm gonna say the last fight of my career, if it's my storybook ending, ends with gold and a lot of money, and I don't know where I'll be, wherever the most money's at in the world. That's what I am gonna say. I'm gonna be 100% honest with that answer. Wherever the most money's at that particular time in the world. Maybe we're fighting other planets. Maybe aliens have already came over. Now I'm fighting for the world, the best 170-pounder against fucking Galactus or something from another planet, and I'm getting paid universal money. So I don't even know where the last fight's going to take place, bro.
Like Mortal Kombat, huh?
I don't know. We don't know, man.
All right. The reason I bring that up is because what does your gut tell you? Would Jorge Masvidal ever box?
Yes. Jorge Masvidal would box. I box every other week. Every week I'm always doing something related with boxing. So yeah, I would box just because I love it. You know, it's a sport that I grew up watching. I have a deep passion with boxing.
Could you beat Paulie Malignaggi?
I think he's way too small for me to start the conversation even. You know, he's like a 47 or 54 pounder, right?
Yeah, but let's just say good money brought you down to that 54 range. And let's say he gave you let's say he gave you that allowance, you know, of a few pounds. You guys are getting paid good money.
160. Put it at one. I can make 160. Struggling, but I can make 160 and still compete. Yeah, I'd hurt him bad.
Could you beat Oscar De La Hoya?
Oh no, he doesn't fight no more now. Prime Oscar probably not, man. That dude was an animal, man.
Not Prime Oscar. The Oscar that's been calling out Conor. But if Conor doesn't fight, and he's still out there wanting to fight someone, that's the Oscar. So whatever 40-something aged Oscar De La Hoya, who at one time had skills, but obviously doesn't have any more of those.
Damn, that would suck because I liked Oscar a lot. From one spig to another spig that came from nothing, you know. So it would hurt. It would hurt that to fight Oscar, to tell you the truth, man. You know, I wouldn't want to fight him. There's other dudes I'd rather fight, but if I got paid money, of course I'm gonna break his face.
There you go. All right, we got a few more questions for you, George.
You want to offer me boxing matches, and you're my boy, and you're offering me Oscar De La Hoya, Paulie Malignaggi. I thought we.
Well, I'm trying to get you paid. I'm trying to get you paid. I mean, who are you going to fight? Some club boxer or something like that? 4 rounds. That's like 10 and 8. I mean, no one's going to watch. I'm trying to get you paid as much.
Offer me Canelo Alvarez.
Oh, George Masvidal. Look, I got to shoot you straight. You and Canelo. That's just not going to work in your favor, man. I'm trying to. You have to agree with that.
I don't care what happens. I'm in it to win it. You know what I'm saying? Like in my mind, I beat him. So we're gonna have to find out on that day. You know?
I'd like to see that one in the streets, not in the boxing ring, but in the streets. All right, I got a couple more questions with.
Streets is not it's not competitive. None of those boxing guys will ever be competitive.
Give me a second here. Give me a second here.
Idiot guy in the world if they run into a supermarket.
Sirius XM audience, we'll see you all tomorrow. George Masvidal, hang in there for overtime. We'll be right back. 10 seconds.
And the one bandits crashing, all those hopes down the drain. Fever, Las Vegas turning day into nighttime, turning night into daytime. If you see it once, you'll never be the same again. I'm gonna keep on the run.
You guys are clear for overtime.
All right, Goes, what was the name of your second segment?
What does your gut tell you?
What does the gut tell you? I mean, all right. I mean, I see what George is saying. Canelo, I get that. But in a boxing ring, it's just not going to be George's night. On the streets, it's George's night. In an MMA cage, it's George's night. But in a boxing ring, I mean, yeah, I know that there's guys like more of his weight class, like Triple G, Canelo, Danny Jacobs, but those guys are pro boxers. I know George is pro box, but he's not a professional pro boxer full time. So that's why I thought maybe these guys like Paulie Malignaggi just retired, but he's a little smaller. Oscar retired a while ago, but he's more George's side. And both guys I think we'll get George paid. Not to say the other guys wouldn't get paid, but I just don't think we get to that. You know what I mean? So that's what I was trying to say, George.
I think he's fucking with us again.
He's fucking with us again?
I don't think so. It looks like he hung up this time.
Oh, he did?
Yeah.
Oh, well, the VX isn't working.
Ah.
You want to call him back, Danny?
Yeah, I'll try.
All right. All right, this is overtime. And it'll be the quickest overtime if we're not successful in getting George back. But otherwise, Dan, you have something left for George? Or
not really. I was just gonna. Yeah, no.
You're just hanging in there?
Was just gonna ask him if he had anything in mind.
He might have heard us saying we're taking off or whatever, and thought it was just over.
Yeah. Let's see what happens here. I'll text him as well.
So how you guys doing?
Pretty good, man.
Yeah. Are you still sick, Dan? Do you still feel bad?
I mean, it always takes. I'll be probably doing that move or something for a couple weeks. You know,
sniffling accountant.
Yeah, something like that. While I wait for it to, vacate.
Yeah.
But the worst is over, so that's good.
Everyone I know is sick. Everyone.
Everyone I know.
Name 'em.
It's crazy.
They've been sick. I only have like a handful of friends that haven't gotten sick yet.
You know, our little dog.
Yeah.
Poor guy. He it's raining, a lot more than it has been in Vegas.
Yeah.
And he goes out to the patio, and I'm reading him, right? And he's just like, oh, fuck, what do I do? And it was funny because he was trying to figure out where the puddles were, and then he found his little way, and he kind of danced around it, went out there, did his thing, but he was soaked. And so I had to change him yesterday, dry him off and stuff like that. But that's the type of
check Facebook
damp weather where sometimes his little allergy, his skin can get sensitive, and
yeah, looks like we won't be able to connect.
Okay. All right. Well, I'll figure that out. But guys, that's our show for today. I think we kind of talked about the latest news, took some calls, had our guests, and tomorrow we'll be right back. 10 a.m. Pacific, 1 p.m. Eastern with another edition of MMA Junkie Radio. For Goes and Dan and Danny, I'm George. Have a nice day and go out there and be champions.
Get those stakes up higher. There's 1,000 pretty